Well, time is running out for President Biden to decide whether U.S. Steel will be sold to Japanese company Nippon Steel. We'll take a look at that deal and other economic issues that could shape 2025. Joining us now to discuss is the Vice President of General Economics and Trade at the Cato Institute, Scott Lincicome. Now listen, just flat out, is this Nippon Steel deal to buy U.S. Steel from what, $15 billion? Is this going to go down in flames, or do you think this could be saved?
Yeah, if you're judging from the public reports and U.S. Steel stock price, it's looking pretty bad for the deal at this point. Even though Nippon Steel has vowed to invest billions of dollars in U.S. Steel's American facilities, even though the U.S. Steel management and shareholders and even a lot of workers want this deal to go through, and even though a lot of national security experts think that this deal it would be good for U.S. national security, the government interagency committee that reviews these deals for national security purposes, what we call CFIUS, has punted the deal. It can't make a decision, and that means it goes to President Biden's desk, and President Biden has vowed to block it repeatedly. So unless President Biden has some big change of heart, it's looking pretty bad.
And when you say can't make a decision on the national security risks involved, right?
Yeah. So they're basically deadlocked. So most of the agencies, again, if the reporting's accurate, are for it, but there are a couple holdouts. And if only even one agency says no or can't make a decision, it goes up to the president.
What could be the fallout from this? Because I think you have Biden, you also had Trump, and at some point kind of voiced opposition to this deal. I know that Nippon could be on the hook for a lot of money, but what could be the fallout for this?
Well, the most important fallout is U.S. Steel is still in bad shape. And so their management has said that if Nippon's transaction doesn't go through, they're going to have to close some facilities here in the United States or reorganize. So that's bad enough. But then, of course, a lawsuit seems inevitable in all of this because this is more about politics than it is about policy, except politics isn't supposed to guide these decisions. But if you listen to Biden and Trump and others, it's clear that this was more about winning votes in steel country and union votes in particular, currying votes favor with the U.S. Steelworkers Union than it was about national security. So we can expect a lawsuit, which of course makes things even more messy. And then we have to think about broader harms, though. What happens to U.S.-Japan relations in terms of foreign policy? Do foreign investors start thinking twice about investing in the United States? These are the types of things that we should also, unfortunately, have to worry about if this deal goes down.
Well, many people are also asking themselves about DOGE. That's the Department of Government Efficiency. They say their goal here is to cut, government waste. You have Elon Musk, you have Vivek Ramaswamy. But what's the reality here? Because Congress is essentially in charge of the money. So how does this all really fit in?
Well, we can start by saying they have good intentions. There's a lot that does need to be fixed in the United States government. Now, some of that, however, can be done via executive action. So DOGE could work with the Office of Management and Budget and recommend that the president streamline certain procurement processes or change certain regulations that don't need Congress. But you're right, the biggest stuff, the stuff that is the most spending, the heaviest lift, the stuff that's driving our debt, that is going to need Congress. And there, DOGE is pretty powerless, except that it does seem to be influential. So the hope there is that DOGE can push Congress to act in certain places as these big spending bills come forward in the next few years. And, as my Cato colleagues just wrote in this massive new DOGE report, there is plenty of government activities that are superfluous or destructive or just beyond the government's proper role that Congress should take a look at.
Let's get to something very quickly. Now, Trump, as you all know, has promised a lot of things like tariffs, immigration policies. You have all these tax cuts. Now, what could the cumulative effect on the economy be if Trump even delivers even a tiny bit on all of this stuff?
Yeah, so this is one of those cases where it's almost impossible to kind of game out because a lot of these policies work against each other. You have, tariffs and deportations would likely reduce economic growth. Good tax policy would actually boost economic growth. Deregulatory actions would boost growth. So you kind of have those things working to offset each other. You also have to think about the Federal Reserve, the business cycle, what other countries might do do in response to tariffs? Would they retaliate? And then the government debt kind of hanging on the economy as well. So you put it all together, and it's really tough to say.
All right, Vice President of General Economics and Trade at Cato Institute, Scott Lincecum, thank you so much for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.